Hi guys, welcome to GenZeeDEdu Tutoring Services. This is like an academy for high school CAPS curriculum. So I hope you guys enjoy your stay here. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Unkomatlala and I'll be teaching you for this series. So in this episode, I'd just like to discuss with you how I see maths and how I'd like to teach maths in this platform. So I see mathematics as a language, a new language. I'm not sure about maths lit, but I'm mostly focusing on pure maths. So pure maths for me is a language, and what I mean is that every question that they give you, you can think about it in a much simpler way. Like if I were to teach you Spanish and I say in Spanish, hi is hola. Sharp. And then you meet someone out there who's gonna come to you and say hola, and that person, after them saying hola, your mind perceives it as, oh, I remember they told me that this is hi. So every time that person says hola, you're gonna hear hi. Think about it properly, because if your mind is used to thinking in English and someone comes to you and tells you something in Zulu, your mind is gonna interpret it in English because you're used to speaking English, right? So I want you guys to learn maths in that way, because it just simplifies it and reduces the stress on your mind, where you have to always focus on learning that new language and understanding things according to how they want you to understand things. I'd like for you to simplify things so that I don't know what I can say here to make it simple. You can just translate maths, translate the questions, translate the drawings, translate every point they give you into something that you understand. So let me give you an example of what I mean here, because it can sound like gibberish. So say you're given a graph, right? And then they say it this is a popular metric question that I'd like to show you guys how I'd like to explain this. So let's say this is y and this is g. Normally they give you as f of x or g of x. I don't want to focus on that much. I just want to show you this point already. Say this is 0.5 and this point is going to be -1 sharp, but that means that my x-axis is somewhere here, right? And then they say to you, look for the point where f of x is, okay, let me do this. They say look for the point where f of x times g of x is greater than or equal to 0. No, sorry, they normally ask it as less than. So if this is foreign to you, you are going to come across this question. I don't care if you're in grade 11 or grade 12. If you're in grade 11, next year you're going to come across this question. So I just want to show you this foreign concept. I can simplify it to you as easy as just me explaining this in a simpler form of the language. Because this f of x times g of x is just maths as a foreign language. You don't really know what to do with these things until someone actually explains it to you in a simpler manner and translates it to you. So would you believe me if I told you that this thing is just telling me you must look for the parts where, when you look at say this f of x is y, you must look for intervals where 1 is above or 1 not or, and 1 is below. Every single point where one graph is above and one is below at the same time, you must give them those intervals. So what I mean is that you're going to look at this graph and determine where are the points where one is above and one is below. So let's start on this side here. When you look at this side, you can see there's this graph here, right? And there's this graph that cuts here. Look at where they are moving and determine where is one above and where is one below. So when you check here, they are both below from here to here, right? So you don't account for these ones. You don't look at those. And then when you look up here, they are both above the x-axis. So you don't account for that part. Sharp. Come this side, you see a point where after this graph cuts the x-axis, it's below and this part is above. Do you see? So after -1, the one graph is below and one graph is above. So that's the answer that you have for this. Now you just have to figure out how to give it to them in a way that they understand it, right? So in this case, we would say it's where x is less than or equal to -1. Do you guys understand? So that's how I want you guys to learn to interpret with me this language that is maths. Because this question, after seeing this, I can guarantee you that my students will think about how f of x times g of x is less than or equal to 0. They'll think about it as, okay, let me just look for the points where one graph is below the x-axis and one graph is above the x-axis. And in our case, this was the point, the only point. It's not always the only point. Sometimes you have a longer interval. Sometimes your interval is actually here from -1 to 5. That's where you get your interval. Sometimes it happens. Or sometimes you're going to find that your interval is actually after -5 to here. Or you could find that your interval is actually here and here. So that's how I want you guys to think about these things. I'm going to translate it for it to become a new language for you guys, and it's actually simpler for you to interpret. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to tell you here.